Hey YouTubers, welcome back. Thanks for your comments on my project leadership series to date. In this session, we're going to look at another aspect of project leadership. Remember, the point of these videos is to keep the discussion going. So make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell to keep up to date with the conversation. Now before we launch into the new vid, remember, I'm presenting ideas here. That doesn't make me right. I want to hear your thoughts, so that together we can decide exactly what project leadership does or how it should look for our profession. So make sure you keep those comments coming in and don't be afraid to challenge anything that I say. So here we go. Welcome to Dr. Greg's Guide to Project Leadership. This video is going to look at one of the most common issues faced by project management professionals. What to do when things start to go pear-shaped. Projects can go pear-shaped for a range of reasons that may or may not have been able to be anticipated. Any project manager that tells you that they've never had a project go pear-shaped is either not telling you the truth or they haven't been doing this long enough. Projects that go pear-shaped are inevitable. I'll often tell my senior leadership team, if projects always went according to plan, then no one would need a project manager. So dealing with pear-shaped projects is the price that we pay for existing as a profession. But what does this have to do with project leadership? Well, it leads me to my proposition for this video. I believe one of the differences between a project manager and a project leader is this. When things go pear-shaped on a project leaders say, that's my responsibility. So let's unpack this, because I'm not suggesting that everything that goes pear-shaped in a project is the leader's fault. That's a ridiculous idea. We aren't the designers. We're not the contractors. It's not our fault if someone discontinued floor tiles 3 months ago, or the contractor found a latent condition when they did the excavation. So exactly what do I mean? Well, what I mean is this. When a project goes pear-shaped, a project manager can work out the underlying fault and determine who's to blame. But a project leader takes responsibility for what happens next. So to make sure we're all on the same page, let's look at the differences between fault, blame and responsibility. For this video, I'm going to define these three words like this. When I use the word fault, I'm talking about the reasons why things went wrong. When I talk about blame, I'm talking about the person who should be held accountable for why things went wrong. And when I'm talking about being responsible, I'm talking about someone who takes the obligation for making things right again. When you define the terms like this, you see that claiming responsibility has nothing to do with being at fault or taking the blame. In fact, the fault and the blame are in the past, and taking responsibility has to do with moving forward into the future. Over the years, I've seen hundreds of project management professionals face unexpected events or challenges that have sent their projects pear-shaped. And almost without fail, they can identify what went wrong and often pinpoint who is to blame. And these can make for some interesting lessons learned sessions, especially if lawyers are involved. But none of this actually fixes the problem. In fact, I'm often amazed at how sponsors who will ride you to keep the project on time and under budget just throw caution to the wind in terms of these two criteria and can expend countless hours and endless consultant fees trying to make sure that they correctly apportion blame on a project. Now don't get me wrong, I understand that there's value in knowing this, especially if it's a monumental stuff up that has to go to court to be resolved. But is undertaking this type of forensic review the best use of the project team's time? I mean, especially if they still have to deliver the project. This is where I think project leaders make a difference. The project leader needs to be able to take responsibility for what went wrong. Sure, assign some resources to a forensic review if you have to, but the project leader's focus needs to remain on finishing the project they were commissioned for. So while a project manager might feel that pinpointing fault and assigning blame is urgent, a project leader realises that finding a new way forward to complete the project in light of what has just gone wrong is the most important thing they can do. Project leaders understand that the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. So they take responsibility for gripping up the project and getting it back on track after it has gone pear-shaped. They know that you can't complete a project on budget and on time by spending hours and hours and burning consultants' fees in order to make sure that the right person gets blamed. So in my mind, this ability to shoulder a burden for issues that were neither your fault or for which you are not to blame is the mark of a project leader. A project leader sees the bigger picture. They can grip up the issue, find a path forward and redirect the team, getting everything back on track. And shouldering this burden of finding a new way forward while everything else is going pear-shaped requires a person who has a certain strength of character. They need to be resourceful, intelligent and optimistic. They need to be able to push forward even when they don't have all the information they might need right then, but they press on. So here's the core proposition of my video. Project leaders take responsibility for everything that causes their project to go pear-shaped. Right, so once again, now it's over to you. What do you think? Is responsibility a reasonable differentiator for delineating a project leader from a project manager? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you keep up with the conversation by subscribing and hitting the notification bell. This has been another presentation from Enso Consulting. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you again soon.